Ladies and gentlemen, it's me again, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, the smooth as a Rolls Royce. Hey, this has been a wonderful show. I'm not gonna go deep into a case study, but but you know me, you can't go a show without Dr. Feelgood spitting some facts. Go back to the mid '80s, Cabbage Patch Kids. Everybody was doing, go LL and do the WAP. There was skeezers, and everything was the joint. We had what was called Reaganomics forced the parents out of the home to work because both parents had to work to make money to survive. So what they do, they left their kids at home. And what did they call those kids? Does anybody remember the name they gave them kids?
Kids.
Say that again.
Latchkey kids.
Latchkey kids. Now, think about that. So those kids basically raised themselves. And now, yes, they knew how to cook. They knew how to clean. They knew how to do all of that because their parents held them to that standard.
Yep.
However, now they don't want to give their kids that same opportunity, but they still got to work. So people working 2 and 3 jobs to stay, for survival. It ain't even for the extra stuff anymore. It's the survival. People got gigs and hustling. People doing their thing, trying to stay above, keeping their head above water. It gets harder. So we're kind of starting to revert back to where our grandparents have a bigger role. About 42% of Black families in the United States has a grandparent that has primary child rearing duties. The reason is that the parents are usually, if they're single mothers, the dad is not in the picture and they working 2 and 3 jobs. The grandparent also has a job, but they're working shifts. And the kids are suffering because they're not getting that constant, because different generations raise their kids differently. I raise my kids different than how Anson raised his kids. Mm-hmm. So our thing is that our kids are not becoming prepared because, and this is not a rant, but it is a rant. We got instant noodles, we got microwaves, we got ATMs, we got video on demand. So if you want something now, you can get it now. Mm-hmm. And our kids, that's all our kids have known since the early 90s. That's all our kids have known.
Instant you give a gratification.
Right. You give a kid a rotary phone and tell them the dial number, and they're like, "What the?
What is a rotary phone?"
Exactly. They don't know what a Rolodex is.
They don't know what
a phone book is.
And they can't ask them to write in cursive. Woo! I dare you. Ask a child to write in cursive. Now I predict that handwriting will go away in about 25 years. We're in our 70s and 80s, and we're writing something. Our grands and great grands gonna be like, "What you doing, Papa? You ain't write this. You ain't writing. What's that you doing with your hand? It's called writing. You should try it sometime." We got computers, but that's a whole nother thing. So we gave them this world where everything's at the touch of a finger, but yet we expect them to act with some kind of decorum. We don't train our children in the way they should be. We train them to keep them out of our way. And then we wonder why our children are not listening. They're not following. They're not doing those things. Quick story. My Kendra's youngest daughter, I love her to death. She a New York girl through and through. She took a trip, and this is secondhand. I wasn't there, but I can imagine. I know it's true. She was down there. Kendra, her then fiance, and her daughter were down there in the car, and Tawana was driving. And see, her kid, my nieces and nephews, they know Tawana as the church going lady. you know, Bible holding, you know, oh yeah, Bible holding. See, but Kendra and I know her, and Danny and Shaniqua, y'all can back me up on this. She was hood as hell growing up. She was hood as hell. She was one of them. She was one of them folks.
I still hear stories about her to this day.
Exactly. So my niece didn't know that. And she running off at the mouth. Not saying nothing too wild, but she was getting, you know, teenagers get smart at the mouth. And my sister said, you need to stop that. And she was driving when she said that. And my niece said something else. My sister pulled the car over, got out, pulled her ass out that car, wailed on her a little bit.
Correction, I didn't pull the car over. I stopped it in the middle of the street.
Same difference.
Oh. I stopped it in the middle. I didn't pull over. You know how you pull over? No, I stopped it in the middle of the street.
And she went back to New York. She went back to New York on her. And my niece is a New Yorker, and she didn't realize that her aunt grew up in New York. She found out that day, and ever since that day, she is a model citizen. Mm-hmm. Said her. You know,
the moral of that story is that we both didn't know each other, but I'm a type of parent that you are to respect your elders. Okay, right. I don't care how wrong that elder is. That's when you're supposed to bring it to your parent, but you're still supposed to respect your elder. And I truly adore my sisters and my brothers. But my sisters are my heart, and I don't care who you are. You're not going to disrespect my sister. If it came out disrespectfully, even though you didn't mean it in that manner, it still came out disrespectful, and you're not going to do that. And I lost it. I literally believe I blacked out, jumped out the car, and I don't remember, to be honest with you, I don't remember putting it in park, but I jumped out the car and I went to the back seat and I tried to beat her down. I just went crazy. And my sister her back was already hurting, and she wobbling, don't kill my child, don't kill my child. But that's the mentality I had. You don't disrespect an adult, and especially your mama, the one that gave you life.
Yeah.
And that's how our today's society don't do that. Today's society, they are talking back to their parents.
Oh, not mine.
You know, but there's a lot of children who are talking back to your parents. Do you remember going to the grocery store, and if you acted up in that grocery store, what happened?
They take their shoe off and tear you up right there.
Tear you right on up.
Or nowadays they don't. If they didn't do it there, they did it at the house. My mother walked.
Nowadays they don't do that. They let their kids throw the tantrum, or to stop them from embarrassing them, they'll go ahead and purchase whatever they wanted or while they threw the tantrum. Mm-hmm. We need to teach our children discipline because of the repercussions that's going to happen. Now we're teaching our children. Only thing we're teaching our children is when the police come, you keep your mouth shut and your hands on the wheel. Don't talk back. That's with everything in life, period. We need to teach them that there's rules in life. Even when you get as an adult, you tell me I can do what I want to when I get an adult. No, you can't do what you want to when you become adult. You still have rules.
Yeah.
Well, Anson, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
You can let Kendra go first. I'll wait.
All right, go ahead, sis.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say that I'm of a mind that a child has a right to express themselves. Mm-hmm. So I taught my children that. My sister is not used to that because that's not how we were raised. A child was to be seen and not heard. I never really bought into that fact because even though they are children and they have to learn, there's other ways of teaching them. So if my child feels that she has something to say, I'm not going to hush her because then she's not going to be able to come to me for something else because she's scared of the repercussions. So that was the reason why she was expressing herself. My sister didn't approve of the way she was expressing herself. And I thought she was going to kill my child in that car. Now, I do believe in discipline. I don't believe in spanking. Don't kill me. I know, that's not the Black way. I don't believe in spanking. I believe that I'm not with this gentle parenting thing that, these newfangled parents do. But I do believe there's other ways of discipline besides just beating your kid down all the time, because each kid is different. With my boys, I had to be tougher with my boys, but with my little girl, I went to hit her like and I threw her across the room, and that's when it hit me. You can't do that all the time. We as the parents, we can't get mad at our children for things that we do because they emulate us. You understand? And yes, kids today are very, very entitled. My daughter don't have a job the first, but want $1,800 shoes for her birthday. Things like that. Very entitled. I agree with that.
What kind of shoes are those? Let me just ask. I just want to know the name of them shoes. Red bottoms?
They were Louis Vuitton sneakers.
You need to get your behind a rootin' job.
You are absolutely right.
Job. That's right. You're right.
But guess what? Baby girl is 18 now. Mama ain't giving her jack. But that's where the entitlement comes in, because now she feels like, oh, technically I'm an adult, but you made me like this. So you have to continue. No, ma'am. I will not. You have to go out there and get a job. Just like when I was 18, I had to go out and get a job. But kids nowadays, like you guys said, are very entitled. They don't know how to do anything. I was actually scared when I had my surgery recently. I was scared that she wouldn't be able to take care of me. But God be the glory. My child took care of me. She did everything that I wasn't aware of that she was able to do. But when you're a good parent, they see how you handle things and they do that, whether you know it or not. You know what I mean? This girl, I didn't even know she knew how to fry an egg. This girl was making breakfast, lunch, and dinner and gourmet stuff that I'd never even made. She was going on YouTube and watching how to make it or whatever. So even though they are entitled, when you're a good parent, they do listen and they do they do learn the lessons that you try to teach them throughout their lives. Now, some of them, like my brother said, some of them can't even read in cursive. And that's a shame to me. And some of them can't do math, like my sister said, which is ridiculous. And fortunately for me, because of the way we grew up, I taught all three of my children how to do these things. And I think they'll be all right. And I thank God for that, because I was worried about that little one, because she's the only girl and she's all brat. But as parents, we have to trust in the process that we raised our kids the right way, and they'll learn. And they'll do what we, try to teach them growing up. Parenting is not an exact science.
No rule book.
And you have to learn as you go.
Right.
And sometimes sometimes it turns out for the best, and sometimes not. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on.
Oh no. But I was going to say, before I go to Anton, I just want to say something about corporal punishment. Now, our parents beat our asses, put us on punishment.
Joe Jackson
said,
Rosalind, are you listening? Rosalind,
she's going to hear that, right, Dan? But that 1-800 number, somebody put that up there. My aunt.
Oh, Rosalind was no joke.
I was about to say,
Rosalind was no joke. You hear me?
My aunt would have said, call him. My mother would have said that too.
And make it to the phone. She said that. I said, I'm gonna call the people. She said, make it to the phone.
Marlena, you tried that once, didn't you?
And
wow.
The thing about that is, in your as a parent, you have an arsenal of different actions you can take. Don't ever take whooping out of it, because if they know it's on the plate, you may never have to use it. but they know it's there.
Right.
They know it's there. Now, you should never hit your child in anger. A lot of abuse cases are those parents who are angry, maybe not even at their children. They were angry
That part.
when they decided to apply corporal punishment, and they injured their child.
Right.
They injured it, maybe not on purpose. Some of them will say this, but they injured their child. But you have to know, your child has to know that every action has a consequence. That consequence is left up to the adjudicator, which is the parent. And the parent has to have the wisdom, the conflict resolution skills, and the understanding to know when to apply which type of consequence. Now to you, Anson. Go ahead, Anson.
No problem. Thank you. I'm so glad that I declined to let Kendra go first, because she led it right into what I was about to say, which is our kids emulate us. They emulate what we do and what they see us do throughout their lives. And I think I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. Accountability. That's very key. And the problem I feel with our children nowadays is that their parents don't have accountability. A lot of kids have parents, whether their parents realize it or not, are not accountable for their actions. And they sit up and they learn these bad habits of not being accountable for what they do, and they emulate that in their own lives.
Right.
So once they become adults and get older, they think that's the way to be. You know, I hear a lot of women say, I ain't finna take care of no man. You know, I ain't finna do this he ain't my child, and this and that. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, why would that be a problem? Because in my mind, that don't make no damn sense. Why would a grown man sit up here and try to be taken care of by a woman when he want that woman?
But that goes back to, Brother Anson, that goes back to how they were raised.
I was just going to say that leads me to think that these men that a lot of women complain about, most likely are men that was raised by a single mama. And I'm not bragging on single parenting. I'm not ragging on single mothers. But let's just analyze what typically happens in a single mother's life. They're growing up with a child, and they have plenty of suitors. So you got plenty of men that's trying to be in that woman's life.
Right.
So what do these men do? They want to get in good with their child, to get in good with the woman. So throughout this little boy's life, he's used to getting things handed to him with minimal effort. So once he becomes a grown man, he expects the same thing from a woman that he's dealing with. And to me, that's pathetic. That's absolutely pathetic. And I understand when women say, I ain't finna take care of no man. And you shouldn't. But it goes back to what Malik says week after week. That's your decision. That's what you decide to do.
Right.
So don't get mad at him for what you decide to do.
Exactly.
And these children grew up seeing that. And you thinking, well, he not seeing me take him to the bedroom, or he not seeing me do anything inappropriate. No, he's reaping the benefits from your actions. You're not being accountable for your actions. And your actions is what caused this man to think that he should be pampered like a child.
That's very profound, Anson, and unfortunately, it's correct. A lot of times with parenting, it's like I think somebody said it was a art. It's actually an art. Miss Millie said it was an art, and you don't get grades, but if your child's in and out of trouble, you got an F. If your child is has 3 kids before they turn 18, male or female, I ain't discriminating. That's an F.
Mm-hmm.
If your child is not a productive citizen, I get with you, Ricky or Shaniqua, whichever one it is on the phone. If your child is not a productive citizen, that's on you. You don't have to take accountability, but you're accountable, like Anson was saying. Boy, you need to be you need to replace me one day. you spitting some bars, more bars than a college town downtown. Go on, Shaniqua or Ricky.
As parents, we do have to take accountability because we're our children's first teachers. And afterwards, their whole environment becomes their teachers too. So now it's you against everything else that they're learning. You can teach, for me, I taught my kids everything. And that, right, go to school, X, Y, and Z. I'm sure I made mistakes. For me, my mistakes were that I was told is mistakes that I thought I was helping. Like they were never neglectful mistakes. I always made decisions that I thought were going to benefit my children. But at the same time, I did make some adjustments to how I was raising my children besides how I was raised. Like Kendra said, I gave them an opportunity to be heard. What they said meant something. They were people, they were individuals. But that backfired because I was doing that expecting the same results that I got as me growing up, and my discipline, how I was raised. We can't change the way we would teach our kids and think we're going to get the same results that our parents got from us. It just doesn't work that way. And I have to also understand that every decision, even though that you thought that you were making the right decision, is not always the right decision. So like someone said, there's no handbook. And today we're not only fighting just maybe school or, whatever, bad day at school or whatever, or they're working home from school and they see some stuff they're not supposed to see. But now we have to deal with what they see on the internet. They know their rights now.
Yes.
What?
They know their rights. I mean, they really do. It's a whole new ball game. We didn't know all of that. As far as technology, I think that it's good that children have the technology because that is the future and we should expose our children to technology. But I think that we should also give them other avenues of activities to work their cognitive behaviors or skills, such as crayons, coloring books, or puzzles. Like what happened to puzzles? Puzzles are good. We like puzzles. Yeah. Stuff like that. My grandmother, sleep in peace, grandma. She was a big game board. She raised me in my earlier years, and we played a lot of game boards, like anything that you could think of, like Scrabble. Like, when I was little, or like even when I was younger, like old maids, or stuff like that. That I had to think, like or
Go fish.
Stuff like that. Yeah, she was an intellectual. But that's just my take on it. It's just you just never know. You just really just never know. You always trying to do your best as a parent, but you have so many other things to fight against. So, and at some point they have to take accountability for their own lives.
Yes.
At some time, because you done did what they're grown-ups now, and we have to remember that they are still individuals. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Excellent point, Shaniqua. And you forgot Grandma played pinochle a lot.
And backgammon.
Oh yeah, Grandma loved AC/DC and backgammon, that too. But but going back to the subject, are our kids prepared? Now, I'm not going to say we didn't do the best we could. We did the best we could with the resources that we had. We basically, parenting doesn't come with a manual, and you make it up as you go, and you don't raise all your kids exactly the same, because they're not.
They're all different.
They're individuals. However, you never stop parenting. You go from a directive to an advisory role. You go from Captain Kirk to Mr. Spock, where they, you have the advantage because you lived life. You've seen that. And I used to tell my mother all the time, I said, "You wish my kids on me, didn't you?" And she said, "Yes, I did." Oh, she said that to all of us. Oh, I was the only one. She said, when your kids come up, when you have kids, I hope they're exactly like you.
Like you, that's right.
So
I got 2 of them like that.
Me too.
Yeah, so
2 kids like
so
that.
we learned that our early actions did come back to haunt us in most ways. A lot of good, because my mother kept me. I couldn't skip school or nothing. I did that once, and she and my dad wore my hind parts out for that. It wasn't no ifs and you are. And I kind of tried to do that with my children, and I realized that wasn't necessarily going to work, because why spend $27,000 for college if they don't really want to go? Said, why?
Amen, somebody.
Said, why?
Right.
Right? Why cajole them into joining the military when you know they're not going to do well in the military? You could tell them to get a job, but then are they making enough that they can live on their own? Are they always going to be in your? Are they always going to be in your pocket? Our kids are in our pockets for as long as we draw a breath. They're going to be in our pockets.
Yeah.
How much they're in our pockets is the measure of how well we prepared them.
Right.
And the struggles that Miss Millie, just say something, then I'm gonna close it out to Dr. Fab. Go ahead, Miss Millie.
Just as you were saying, how much they're in our pockets is the way that we do. 3 years ago, mine stayed in my pocket until I shut it down. I had to shut it down. I told them I had to give them the scenario of I had to find a way to win. If it's not an extreme emergency, work it out. When I started telling them that, they found ways to work it out, and they call me less now for something. They call me now. They know it better be something almost life or death at this moment, when I'm like, I'm not finna give y'all my money to play with. Well, mama, you got it. I don't care what I got. It ain't yours. They have to know that they got to work for what they want. The same way I get up every day and work hard, they have to know they have to do it as well. And as Anson said best, they watch everything you do. Them two, they act just like me, my 37-year-old and my daughter. Only thing I hate, they act so much like me. If I do something, they hold me accountable.
Exactly.
I'm like, what? I'm the mama, but mama, you're wrong. They tell me
Wrong
decent in order because they do
no.
not cuss around me. They tell me decent in order. I just look at them and like, hush, ain't nobody ask you nothing.
Right.
But they be right.
That's the
So
thing.
just, like, be careful what you do around your children because they are
right. And you got to remember that you got to hold yourself accountable, because wrong is wrong.
Wrong is wrong.
Wrong is wrong. You gotta acknowledge wrong. A lot of our parents didn't do that.
Exactly. When they tell me, I take it, but I don't let them know at that moment that I took what they said. I'd be like, they so right, God.